All right, welcome back to another episode of Undefining, the podcast where we break down labels, challenge expectations, and redefine what success, identity, and creativity actually looks like. I'm your host, Glo Butler, and today's conversation is a special one. We're diving into what it means to build something that truly serves your community, to step outside traditional career paths, and to find success in ways that don't fit inside the corporate handbook. Let's get into it. All right, you guys. So welcome back. Our guest today is someone who's been doing just that, creating spaces where queer, black, and brown folks can show up authentically and unapologetically. Gabrielle is the founder of Raw Honey, a creative collective and destination for all things queer culture and community. An HBCU grad from Florida A&M University, she's taken her experience working with major brands like L'Oreal, Miller Coors, and Coca-Cola and channeled it into curating joyful, empowering spaces for queer and trans creatives. And in 2025, she's on a mission to coach and uplift others to dream big and execute their wildest dreams. How's it going, Gabrielle?
Oh wow, Glenn, you just make it sound so good. I'm like, damn.
I gotta hype y'all up. People gotta be like, you know what? I need to know this person. You know,
Who is that? I'm like, who is that?
right? So how's your Friday going? This is for those who don't know. This is being recorded in
Yes.
February, so a lot's going on right now. How are you doing?
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Yes, happy
Yes.
Valentine's Day.
Thank you. My Friday is it's going great because
Yeah.
I am now officially 100% in my creative works with Raw Honey. Quit
Beautiful.
my day
Congratulations.
job
Yes. Oh, I live for you.
the last day of the year last year. So I say that to say my Friday is going amazing.
That is incredible. I am happy for you. I live for the day that I'm gonna do that. Like I think I want to cut some people out on my way out. Like I think that yeah, exactly. I was like, you know how you get. And you worked in the corporate world, and it's really intense in this corporate world. And man, I can tell you, there's a lot of people you can tell who to go, where to go, and how to get there, right? Because I just feel like I don't know. That just. But I feel like by the time I get there, I'm probably not even gonna think about that. That's probably where you're at right now, right? You don't care. You're like, I'm in another zone right now, right? Like I don't need that.
Child, when I said they gonna work you, they gonna work you. But you know,
I know
do
about
what
it.
you gotta do. The check is nice. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah. But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
You can make more yourself. You know, all you got to do is manifest it. So I just want to jump right in, and let's start from the beginning. I want to go back to like when you left the womb. No, I'm just kidding. I want to. No. I want to know first who Gabrielle is. We know everybody at this point knows Raw Honey, and we're gonna break things down with that. But I want to know who Gabrielle is when you were little. All
Yes.
right. I want to know what was something outside of before you got into this creative space, or even maybe that was what you saw when you were younger. But basically, when you were younger, what made you spark? What was something that like excited you the most?
Yeah. When I think of all the intersections of me, it's so unique and complex in its own way.
Okay.
I mean, growing up, I was big into basketball, still really big into basketball. I love to play pickup and things like that. Super
Nice.
tomboy. Like, when I was younger, they were like, it's giving, I guess sometimes people could tell that I was queer. I don't know.
They knew.
Um, but I think at a very young age, I was always like super social.
Yeah.
And I remember I was voted most likely to become president in like
Wow.
middle school. And I didn't even like run for it or ask anyone to like nominate me. I just opened the yearbook and I saw my face and I was like, okay. So I think I've just always been a people person, a social
Yeah.
person,
Mm-hmm.
throwing parties since high school. Me and my
Wow.
homegirls would throw parties and we would get robbed, but
Yeah.
we would have a time.
That's hilarious.
Uh,
I swear, those were the best parties back in the day, though. Like, if they wasn't like a shootout or something, that's so messed up. But those were the good parties before they ended horribly. But yeah,
yeah, but just really always love people, all different types of people,
yeah.
always just lively and fun.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So I would say, like, since you started, like, with the, because you started, I guess pretty much planning or putting on
Yep.
parties like way before Raw Honey and all this other stuff. I guess, with you, going, being a part of like the corporate world previously, before Raw Honey, I guess, what did you really define early on? Like, how did you define like success? What did that look like for you?
At early in my career, I was honestly afraid of success because I would look
Yeah.
up at the people that were directors and VPs, and I'm just like, they seem miserable. They're not
Yeah.
married. A lot of times they don't have children, and
Yeah.
they just work themselves to the bone. And that really scared me.
Mm-hmm.
As I was moving up the corporate ladder, like quickly in my 20s, I'm like, damn, like, is that going to be me in like 5 years? Like,
Yeah.
so I think I very quickly wanted to redefine what success looks like for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've always envisioned myself as like my highest self, being able
Mm-hmm.
to like wake up at ease,
Mm-hmm.
go to the gym, take care of myself,
Yeah.
whether that's like meditate, whatever, like being
Mm-hmm.
able to do all of my career, creative works,
Mm-hmm.
and like things I need to do for myself and feel
Mm-hmm.
grounded. That's what I've always viewed success
Mm.
as,
Yeah.
because what I saw as success looked
Mm-mm.
scary to me.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's really what I'm working on in this chapter in 2025, is just trying to create that,
Mm-hmm.
that lifestyle and balance where I can do all the things that make me happy while also
Mm-hmm.
doing the things that keep me whole,
Yeah.
um, and not too overwhelmed or overworked.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important. And when you even like discover that within yourself, it's so hard because people are scared. People, we are scared. We're all scared. Don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
society has us built to like, if we don't have a degree, if we don't have this X, Y, and Z, it's like, all right, I did that.
Yeah.
So now you see life different. Like this ain't fun. This ain't what I'm. Like there's
Hmm.
more to us than that.
Yeah.
And to be sometimes it takes a lifetime to discover that within yourself. Like I feel like artists are a different breed. Creators are a different breed because like we don't belong on this earth. We belong on like in space somewhere. You know what I mean?
You can't
So
put us in a box for sure.
no, no, not at all, not the
Yeah.
least bit. So your background includes working with major brands like L'Oreal
Yeah.
and Coca-Cola. What did that corporate world teach you? Like good or anything good or bad, that you either brought to Raw Honey or that you were just or you get it.
I think the biggest things that it taught me is all brands are built off of some type of like feeling or
Mm,
purpose.
okay.
And if you're gonna have a brand, you're gonna want some people to feel something like when they see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I worked at Coors Light, it was about like conquering your mountain, and it was very inspirational. Or like Bud Light was always like very funny, and it connected
Mm-hmm.
to people through that way. So for me as an empath, like connection and emotion is very important in everything that I create, which is why for me it was like hashtag unapologetically queer, and just trying to figure out how I can create this feeling of home,
Mm-hmm.
and belonging in a
Yeah.
community space, which is something I'm always, trying to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Outside of that, I think it just really taught me the numbers aspect. Like, I think a lot of people, as creatives, we just have so many ideas flowing through our head.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make it make sense to
Yeah.
create these ideas
Mm-hmm.
while being able to hit bar minimums or pay
Mm-hmm.
creatives. And so it's given me the ability to kind of like break down the numbers and understand like how can I make this work and how can I make this be sustainable.
That
And
part.
that's something that is it's really hard, I think, for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's definitely helped me a lot. Um, and that's something that I'm passionate about now, is like being able to share that information, share that knowledge. I think before I was just so tired with the
Yeah.
work, but like now that I have capacity, I really want to be able to coach creatives to put their ideas into the
Mm-hmm.
world, how they should look at it, how they can like cut corners to save money,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's good. That's good too because like I've definitely worked in production and eventually did it professionally too. And I think that you learn a lot too from it's like you can either go to a job and
Yep.
just kind of be like miserable and be like I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, or you can say, hey, okay, you can turn that mission, you working there, into hey, it's a goal for me because it sucks working for somebody else's goal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Imagine if that was your goal. Like, what you turn that into, and it's gonna, and especially with the community that you've built through Raw Honey and beyond. I just feel like that's something that people are also seeking. Those like people like you that are creating spaces for that because not everybody's just going to do that. Like how
Yeah.
one in every how many number of people are actually producing, putting on parties, putting on creating safe spaces
Yeah.
for queer people where it can just be us there, and not just queer people, BIPOC,
Yeah.
Black. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Let's be specific here
Yes, very
because
specific. And the
because
more specific, the more difficult it is to keep it thriving,
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So when you think back, were there spaces like this that influenced you, or did you have to feel like you had to build this like yourself, like start from scratch and just kind of figure it out along the way, or did you say, "Hey, okay, I kind of see somebody else doing this, but not
mhm.
not like, you
Yeah.
just know there's something a part of that you want it to be a part of."
Yeah, I think my biggest influences is definitely attending at HBCU. I
Mm,
knew I was used to only being around black and brown folks, so I knew like if I
yeah,
go into a space, like I want it to feel like home, like homecoming. I want it to be very affirming, and just it's just so beautiful when you look around the room and you just see like queer, that like I hate to say diversity, but you just see like queer black and brown folks. Like that's just
yeah.
it's like a utopia. So
Mhm,
I knew
mhm,
I wanted to feel that majestic energy when I walk into a room.
mhm,
Um, I think other things that I've been inspired by, definitely that. Also, another HBCU and FAMU grad, Leon, founder of Trappy Hour.
okay.
When I discovered that he went to FAMU, I was just instantly just inspired by just how he showcases like personality
Yeah.
on his page. It's very entertaining. It's very funny.
Mhm,
It's a live stream of entertainment, and I've always been very inspired by Leon's work with Trappy Hour and how he keeps people engaged in that sense of community on
mhm.
social media platforms.
Right.
Um, and then I think other than that, it's just all the intersections of my identity and all my
Mhm,
interests. Being a
mhm,
preacher's kid, being an HBCU graduate, being from Indianapolis, Indiana, in the
mhm.
Midwest, being someone who honestly is like an introvert. Like
Yeah.
when I throw parties, I'm not really dancing. I'm enjoying
Mhm.
myself. People are like, "Are you
Right.
having fun?" I am, but like
Mhm.
I want to have like conversation, like
Yeah.
in-depth conversation and connection.
Mhm.
And so all of those things and uniqueness is what inspires me. Additionally, like just seeing what the world needs right now
Yeah.
inspires me to like be able to create that, to try to create joy for folks. So
Mhm.
I think it's just so many different things.
Yeah. And so as far as like you said you're a preacher's kid, so what was
Yes.
that experience like, and I guess how did your being, in a religious family,
Yeah.
how was that as far as like your queer identity?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a very unique identity. I think
Mhm.
that I, at a certain age, I just kind of had to just relearn a lot of things for myself.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of like, I always lived like in another city or like across the country. So it allowed me the space to do that, which I understand is definitely a privilege, to
Yeah.
have that space. But,
Mhm.
um, it helped me a lot. And I think just kind of like standing firm and being like, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And my family just be like, just growing into acceptance of it,
Mhm.
which they've definitely came a long way. My dad, especially, being a pastor, Um, and it's definitely not an easy journey, but
Mm-hmm.
I think right now I'm finding a lot of joy of, getting back to my roots of just like being in the church and being
Yeah.
grounded in
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in those moments where I felt disconnected or felt like
Yeah.
I didn't understand
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how I can be queer and, be someone that is a believer, like I didn't understand it. I still always felt God's presence in my life and how
Mm-hmm.
He has led me. Raw
Mm-hmm.
Honey even started after, being at my lowest.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Raw Honey came from. I was drinking a lot of coffee and tea and meditating, and I was putting a lot of honey in my tea at the
Nice.
time.
Oh.
And it's like I know all of those things have been planted and
Mm-hmm.
guided me in
Yeah.
those hard times, like through God. And so it's definitely a journey. And I hate to be very that really churchy girl, but
Mm-hmm.
I hate to not make room for, you know, what has been blessing me and guiding me through all these hard years. So
Yeah.
um, it's a beautiful journey though, but it's definitely a difficult journey. Religion and the queer identity.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine because that I think that was too a struggle for me, and that's one thing that I read. I read a lot of self help books, and there was one line. I can't even remember what book I read it in,
Yeah.
but it basically said, everybody's version of God is different, right? And
Yes.
so, like, some people are like really traumatized by the church and stuff like that, so they're like, I don't even want to
And
be
that's
in.
okay too.
And that
Yeah.
exactly, there's no rules to this
Yeah.
because there's is we all find our happiness and what keeps us going and whatnot. But I felt like that helped me to make peace with a lot. Like, okay, I can still do this, but
Yeah.
not have to like deal with whatever I learned in church. There's pieces of that you can take away from when you're
Yeah.
childhood, but the parts where they just kind of demonized you if you didn't do this X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z or whatever, that's not those people. There's something wrong with them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those aren't people that are here because just like Raw Honey and just like any other space, like churches are supposed to be a safe space as well. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Religion is supposed to be a safe space. And however, there's different religions or non-religious spaces where you can just practice spirituality or just find some place to ground you, some place where you just keeps you
Exactly.
going and makes you feel a sense of purpose. And I like that you take that with you because there's a lot of queer people that I know now, especially as I'm older, that I connect with and that are giving me very similar views like yours, yet where they're just
Hmm.
like, I kind of had to part ways in order to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not that you're saying you parted ways, but a lot of them just kind of like wrote it off and got angry and stuff. And I feel that. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
frustrated at the church, but I was just like, you know what? Once I read that line, I felt comfort. Like you said, you always felt like God was there, and that's kind of the energy that I've always felt too. It's just like, well, I know somebody's here looking out for me,
Hmm.
so so
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them, but to each its own. And everybody, like my mom always said, she's like, it doesn't matter what the different religions are. We just call
Hmm.
him something different. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
whatever so it is what it is. But yeah, so moving on with I want to dive a little into Raw Honey.
Yes.
Curating spaces like Raw Honey isn't just about throwing parties. It's about creating a vibe, feeling a safe space for people to be their fullest selves. That's not easy, especially when it comes to event production and nightlife. I can only imagine what you go through.
Yes.
What what's something people don't realize about what it actually takes to build a thriving event space for queer BIPOC folks?
That it's work.
A lot of work.
Job. It's truly a job. It's a nine to
Yeah.
five that pays
Yeah.
very little.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
Yeah.
like a 9 to 9. With any creative project, you're gonna pour a lot into it. Whether you're
Mhm.
the founder, whether you're a freelancer, everyone, the whole community pours into all these different collectives and things. That is what makes it
Mhm.
what it is,
Mhm.
and it just takes a lot,
Yeah.
and it's not the return is not always there.
Mhm.
um, I think something that people don't realize is honestly the economics behind it, like the
Mhm.
the business behind it, what
Yeah.
organizers and DJs work with when they're going out and finding venues.
Yeah.
um, when, people come through, they have a pregame, they come through, they
Mm-hmm.
vibe, and at the end of the night, they're like, oh my gosh, I had so much fun tonight, and I didn't even spend a dime.
Yeah, that's not
That
okay.
is never, that's
It's
like,
like support the bar, you know?
yes, that is like,
Mm-hmm.
why a lot of bars are closing. That is
Yeah.
why a lot of organizers end up stopping, is
Yeah.
because unfortunately it all has to make sense financially. I wish it could all thrive just off of passion
Yeah.
and drive and community, but at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
these venues,
Yeah.
they have to survive and be open.
Yeah.
Creatives and their
Mm-hmm.
time and their ideas have to be compensated to be able to keep going, to be able to invest in a better experience, better DJs. You want a venue with cool lighting, like security. Right now, that's a big one that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
always important, especially in this climate.
Yeah.
Everything costs, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And
Eggs $10 now. Sorry.
yeah,
I'm not over that. Sorry, go
it's
ahead.
it. No, but it's disgusting, honestly,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
fast things pile up very quickly. And as an
Mm-hmm.
organizer, you're going to have your moments where you're like, wow, I profited. And then you're going to have moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I just got a couple $1,000s in debt. I
Yeah.
had 500 people at this event and it was amazing, but I still somehow ended up in
Yeah,
debt. And
there's a lot of people to pay. There's a lot, in order to
yes,
even create that vibe. Like, and people aren't cheap, and you can't blame them because they also too are following what they want. You know what I mean? Trying to go
yeah,
after what they believe in and their dreams, and it's hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest thing, though, despite all of that, no matter what creative works you're in, you have to
Hmm.
keep going. And
Hmm.
that is
Yeah.
really what separates a lot of us, unfortunately, is just like that grit to like either
Hmm.
figure it out, maybe pivot into something else, which there's nothing wrong with that either. But
Yeah.
you have to keep going and stay innovative. The
Yeah.
community, like, we need it. If you feel like
Hmm.
that is your calling,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
don't give up.
Yeah.
Definitely don't give up. Not in this social and political climate.
Yeah, yeah, we need it, especially like now. We need to see each other because I think right now our leaders are not leading the way we like them to. We don't feel
Yeah,
protected. We don't feel safe. So it's up to our communities to build that and to create those spaces because we can get through these next 4 years easily. But yeah, I definitely think that like a lot of it, like I kind of stopped, put on hold like producing any shows and stuff for that reason because like it was like, all right, I tried to transition into like free shows to paid shows and stuff like
yeah,
that. And then people get a little funky because they don't want to pay for anything. And
yeah,
you get discouraged, and I was like, you have to be consistent for this to work no matter what. So you can't have that in your brain. So I was like, I'm just going to focus on performing right now.
yeah,
And then when the time brings and like, say somebody reaches out to me about something, I'll do that. You know what I mean? But nothing forced if you don't
yeah.
have to.
And I think that's great. Like, I don't want to make it seem like when I say like don't stop or like that's what separates people. It's like, but still look at you. Like, you're still
Yeah. Yeah.
in a creative space.
Yeah.
You have your podcast. You're featuring people. Like, that's what I mean is like you have to stay in your creative
Yeah.
gifts,
Yeah.
and don't sit on your talents. Not
Yeah.
not in 2025. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah, because there's a lot of times like you look back, and I don't know if you're like that, but I'll look back and I'll be like, yo, I should have started this a long time ago. But it
Yeah,
is what it is. We're here now, right?
yeah.
So let's see here. So and on the flip side, what's a welcome to the nightlife moment that you had? Like, what was something that you were just kind of like, is this what I signed up for? Because
This
like,
is what I
have
signed
you
up for.
yeah, like what was that moment where you're just like, wow, if there was something like you say, like you say, welcome to the WNBA moment, when there's something that like just happens that kind of wakes you up a little bit more, but still keeps you going.
Oh my gosh, there's so many moments of that. Wow. I would say moments of that would be I think it was Memorial Day a couple years ago, partnered
Hmm.
with Funky Reggae House Party, and we did an event at Club Lamba and
Oh
that
yeah,
was the weekend that they opened. So it was a
that is
free
dope.
event. I think we had like 1,000 people there, and we threw it together at the last minute. And
Yeah.
just to see the impact, to see how many people came, we had people like in line down the block, and that doing that event and collaborating and doing something free for the community, it
Hmm.
just reminds us that like people, they want our talents. The demand is there. We might not always have the money for a ticket, but like sometimes when you take a step back and just like give back, it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
turnout is insane. So that was an amazing, amazing moment.
Yeah, that makes it all worth it. So do you feel
Yeah.
like that was like your has that been one of the most rewarding parts of doing this so far, or do you feel like you've had big moments with, because you did something with Pride, right? Weren't you
Yeah.
working with collaborating with, which was really dope. Like I didn't it's not an easy gig to get, you know what I mean, or collaboration, because there's a lot of people, I'm sure trying to reach out and collaborate with New York City Pride and stuff. So you were on a big
Yeah.
stage. Yeah.
I mean, so many big moments. Definitely hosting Pride Fest. That was, I think I was contacted 6 months into starting Raw Honey, which
Mhm.
goes to show like you don't have to have thousands of followers. I think at the
No.
time I might have had like 1,000 followers.
Mm.
Um, and doing that event, and like I met with them and they were like, "We want you to be the host," and I was like, "Okay."
Oh,
And
that's
I
dope.
thought they were going to do some interviewing. So I was like, okay, well, let me know like when you have your final decision. They're like, no, we want to work with you. And I was like, what?
That's
like,
cool.
and so hosting in front of 100,000 people, and I'm not always a mic girly, but
Yeah.
I was just like high and like drunk off life in that moment.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Um, it was really amazing. And so definitely a top moment. And then lastly, I'll say it was a Pride finale where Amorphous
Mhm.
played, and
Mhm.
that literally felt like we were like on a whole nother planet. Not just
Mhm.
Amorphous, but just like that night, all the creatives, the space, we were at the Sultan Room.
Yeah.
It was like heaven itself, I feel like.
I love that. Yeah. I love it when you can just be in the moment. And that's almost probably the best part about being able, outside of like, picking up the mic and hosting, but I'm sure there's a moment where when you're just able to sit back and just kind of
Yeah.
like soak it all in, actually like just sit there and soak it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking ahead, you've said 2025 is about coaching and empowering others. Pretty much, what's the biggest piece of advice you would have for someone or someone looking to carve out their own space?
Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Biggest piece of advice. I think we are queer people, um, black and brown folks. Like we are DEI now, right? Like it's up to us to create these spaces. It's up to us to
Hmm.
create this life for us,
Yeah.
and we can't sit on our talents. So I think, and I've been preaching this over and over again. Like if there's something that you want to do, like
Hmm.
put it out there and figure it
Hmm.
out as you go.
Yeah.
Um, lean on community, people that have
Hmm.
done it before. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, don't ask
Hmm.
them to like spoon feed you. Come with,
Yeah.
research and things like that. Like, just get really curious
Hmm.
with whatever it is that you want to do.
Hmm.
Um, Also, advice is like, think about the times that we're in. Think about what the issues are.
Yeah.
Think about what it is that you want to see. What do you want to
Hmm.
see differently? And try to
Hmm.
fill in those gaps. I mean,
Hmm.
it's always good to try to be, innovative with different concepts for community.
Yeah.
So if there's something that you want to see, you wish you could see,
Hmm.
give it a
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
And it's a slow build. It's definitely not going to be like you're going to hit it out the park the first time.
Right.
Like it
Yeah.
might take you a year, year and a half for it to grow.
Hmm.
So don't be afraid of the ugly stages as you start to build your dream. You have
Mm-hmm.
to go through those ugly spaces. You might have to lose a little bit of
Yeah.
sleep, money. But if you stay with it and you stay in your creative works, there's going to be so much reward.
Facts. Facts. I believe consistency is always key.
Yeah.
Always. And no, it's consistency doesn't mean it's gonna be cute, perfect, or anything. But it one of those things you just gotta do. Manage your emotions in a way when it comes to something that's meant for you. You won't regret it ever. So I want to. So before we get into the next segment of just like I have a game for us.
Yes.
I wanna just ask this little question, and it could be any piece of advice you would give yourself, like your younger self, your baby self, the person that is the social bug and trying to maneuver like social life and education and all that fun stuff. What would you tell yourself?
I would say all of the things that you struggle with, all of the
Mm-hmm.
things that you worry about or you're insecure about, or the things that make you different from other people
Mm-hmm.
are your superpower.
Ooh. Mm.
So if you feel conflicted with, who you are, your identity, you feel like you don't fit in, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like that's your superpower and that is what makes you unique. So
Okay.
find your community, find
Yeah.
people that think like you, that feel
Mm-hmm.
affirming to you, and
Yeah.
that's not always going to be everyone.
Yeah.
Um, and just enjoy your uniqueness and know that
Mm-hmm.
that is your superpower.
Yeah, I love that. And the best part about this day and time, I swear, like I feel sometimes it's easier to be gay now because
Mhm.
because there's so many people that look like you know, and look
Yeah.
like me, and we didn't have that back in the day. I felt like
Mm-mm.
that wasn't a thing, especially growing up in certain areas of the country. Like you grew up in Indianapolis, for goodness
Yeah.
sake. Like good, I'm glad you made it out.
I am too.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. All right. So we have a fun game. We're gonna have this little this has been a great conversation. This has been
Thank
something
you.
I'm gonna
Thank
listen
you.
back and be like, yes, because I need to be you dropped some gems on there today. But all
Oh,
right,
thank
so
you.
of course. So, all right. So this segment for you all of you listening in or tuning in, this is a game. This is like a rapid round game
Mhm.
that I have on pretty much every episode at this point. Not the same one. This is different. So if you do hear or there's a game that you hear that I'm doing and you want to hear it again, just let me know. This is kind of trial and error. All right.
Yes.
So this is called corporate or creative. Since we're talking about since we're talking about redefining career paths, let's play a quick game. I'm going to
Yes.
give you a scenario and you have to tell me if it feels more like corporate life or creative entrepreneur life or maybe both. And if you have a real life story that fits, even better. So you feel free to express yourself in any way if you'd like. If there's something that registers when you hear this scenario. All right.
I
So
love it.
all right. So the first one is you schedule a meeting for 2 p.m. It actually starts at 3:30.
That's that's both. Oh my
It
gosh.
is. It's hit or miss.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, I would say both.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's one of those like you might run into have a meeting scheduled with somebody who is busy, like literally their meetings run over and you just stuck on their time and yeah. So yeah.
Yes.
All right. So the second one is a project budget is definitely finalized until it isn't. Do you remember those deadlines you had back in the day?
Yes.
You said unfortunately.
Yes. I think I'm leaning more into creative now.
Okay.
I would say a good example of that
Yeah.
is last fall and
Mhm.
even last Pride.
Mhm.
Um, as we're budgeting out for the year for programming, DJs, entertainment, budgeted the year based off of the previous year,
Mhm.
but didn't take into account the fact that like there's inflation and everybody is
Yeah.
struggling and people
Mhm.
just don't even want to go out. So
Mhm.
the budget seemed solidified as we were planning it, but
Yeah.
then when tickets started to flow in, it's like, oh, it's a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
The budget just kind of like dwindled. It
Mm-hmm.
changed, but
Mm-hmm.
you still have to, honor your rates and stuff that you agreed to.
Yeah.
But had to very quickly be like flash sale, to like
Yeah.
get tickets to move, and they still did. Thank goodness. But
Mm-hmm.
the budget was based off of a decent economy,
Yeah.
and now is completely different.
Yeah, things just kind of shot up or just feel like it
Yeah,
changed overnight. Like it was reasonable a year ago, and then now it's just like, all right, now let's go. I can only imagine like what that. I feel like the only person that's not being affected is Beyonce. I feel like she is the only one where they're just gonna pay the price. So I don't know.
yeah.
So let's see here. Another one would be you spend half the day networking, the other half wondering why you left your house.
Oh man. I would say creative.
Okay, that's fair.
Me as an introvert now, I love connection, but I also very much retreat. Like when I'm not
Yeah.
in an event or nightlife, I'm just like I love like
Mm-hmm.
my isolation and just being very calm and grounded.
Yeah.
So I can see a lot of times where it's like I go out and I'm social, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, why did I leave my house?
Yeah, yeah. I feel that because I'm home more. I'm a homebody more. Like unless I'm performing,
Yeah,
but I don't do too many parties like that. But it's more of like I'm a homebody. I'm at home with the
yeah,
dog, like and my partner. We're just at home, and and I like it. It's just comfy. I like cozy and I like to relax because I get
yeah.
tired easily. So
Same.
I'm trying not to be that old person. I know we don't want to live like that, but it's like just finding a balance of still being able to connect because making friends now is almost more important than
Yeah.
you when you were younger because it is not the easiest now. So being in the spaces to meet
Mhm.
friends is always important and you need that. All right, let's see what I have next. Let's see. A client asks for a simple change that completely rewrites the entire project.
Oh man, I would say corporate for sure.
Yeah. I feel like that's more corporate too. Cause I was just like, you can work with people. The best part about being a creator is that like, I think there's more passion there. So there's a lot
Mhm.
of things that you have more patience for too. Okay. The next one, you send an email, then immediately text, did you get my email? That is passive corporate. I feel like, sorry, you answer. This is your game.
Oh man, it's giving corporate. It's giving
Yeah.
because it's like that urgency. Like, did you get it? And then the other person is like, damn, like you can't give me a chance to like see it when I want to see it. But then
Mm-hmm.
it's like this pressure to like check your email every 2 seconds and be on top of it and like respond
Yeah.
quickly. That everything is urgent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
not. And my thing is, I was just like, if we just didn't show up to the next day, everything will still keep running. It's just a part. We're just a piece of this life.
exactly.
Um, let's see. Okay, my last one is a last minute crisis turns into your best idea.
Ooh. Definitely creative.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely creative. I'm trying to think if I have any examples. Last minute crisis. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
Mm-hmm.
crisis I feel like is when all the creative gems come.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sometimes that one thing that you're either mess up or stumble or didn't work out was just a stepping stone to get to that next thing. Like that's why you stay in the moment, right?
uh,
All right, so that wraps up those little
yes.
scenarios. I hope that was fun for you. So before we wrap up, I want folks to know where to find you. So where should we find you? What's your socials? What's all of it? We want Gabrielle and we want Raw Honey, all of that.
Thank you for that question. So my personal Instagram is at becoming Gabrielle. Um, my creative Instagrams, Raw Honey, is at Raw Honey NYC. We have Queerpalooza, which is the Pride platform. House of Honey is the 28 and over platform.
Okay.
Starting an HBCU Queer Party, which is
Ooh.
HBCU Refresh,
Wow.
on Instagram. Yeah, so many other handles, but those are the big ones that you can follow and check out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll put it in the description of the bio for this video. I'll put all of your the socials in there. And that's incredible. You have like, oh my God, I have not seen that before now. Like I don't, and maybe I didn't know that somebody was producing all of this different stuff, but I like how you have categories for, this is fantastic. Oh, this is going to be something big. And it already is big. Cause like I'll have people who move to New York and they're like, have you been to Raw Honey? I was like, have I? You know, I know the person. No,
yes.
But but thank you so much for joining me today and just being able to chat it up with, you know, about just life and everything. And I felt like this was probably just a good conversation to have, because now I'm thinking of what you're thinking of, just like at some point I'm going to leave and just not focus on the daytime job and stuff like that. But when that time comes, but you know, given this is that first day of letting it all go and following your dreams and going after it, I wish nothing but the best. I hope you get nothing but grants and people just offering you money and support for what you're doing, because it's unique and it's something that we don't get every day or see in every city. So you got to come to New York to get Raw. No, you do Atlanta, right? Don't you do some?
Yes.
Aren't you doing expanding?
Atlanta and LA.
And LA. What can you not do, girl? What can you not do? All right, Gabrielle, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. All right, Gabrielle has shown us how she's taken her experiences, creativity, and love for the community and turned them into something bigger than just events, Raw Honey, or movements. She shared her story, her wins, and her lessons, reminding us that success doesn't have to look one way. It can be built, reimagined, and completely undefined. Thank you for listening to Undefining. Be sure to follow the podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and connect with us on social media at Undefining the Podcast for more conversations like this. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and stay undefining.
Undefining.